Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we will be discussing about 6th class NCRT History Chapter 2 on the trail of the earliest people. So for those people who have not watched my earlier lecture, they can go to my channel. There is a playlist of history and you can check the first video. You will understand about our past. Okay. So here let's get into the topic today. Here they are talking about a guy named Tushar. So he has a doubt like how was the transportation 150 years ago when trains and buses were not there. So in the first chapter, what did we learn? We saw how Sulaimani hills were there, Kirtar hills were there, and agriculture, how it got established, how rice was grown in Vindhyas. Okay. And then we saw how they used to go from one place to another place. We also saw how different types of things were grown in different places. Okay, so today we'll go into little deep. The earliest people, why were they on the move? Okay, so it was like very ancient time when man first walked on earth. Okay, so they were termed as hunters and gatherers. Why they were termed as hunters and gatherers? Because they don't know what is agriculture. They used to just hunt the animals, and whatever produce was there, they used to gather it. So they used to be called as hunters and gatherers. The name comes from the way in which they caught the food. Generally, they hunted wild animals, caught fish, birds, gathered fruit, roots, and nuts. As I always said, that it is the forest produce. The immense variety of plants in the tropical land like ours meant that gathering plant produce was an extremely important means of obtaining food. See, when you compare, animals are mobile. It is very difficult to catch animals. For example, if it is herbivore, then also it will run away. If it is a carnivore, then obviously you have to fight. And then it is a very risky business. But plants are always static, so you can easily gather the food items. So more stress was done on plant food because it is easily available. That is what he is saying in this passage, that none of these things was easy to do. There were several animals that run faster than us. I told you, like for example rabbit, it will run very fast, so you need to be alert and you need to have a lot of presence of mind to catch them. To collect plant produce, you need to find out which plants or parts are edible. Edible means that which can be eaten. So plants, we do not know. Right now we know because there were numerical classifications done by scientists and local people. So we know which plant is good for eating, which plant is not. But earlier at that time people didn't know. So there might be chances that so many people may be poisoned or maybe even died due to the venomous characteristics of few plants. Okay. You also need to find out about the seasons. Okay. Based on the seasons, the fruit ripen. So they used to see which season which fruit is available at that time so as to collect the forest produce. He's Here he is saying that list the skills and knowledge that children of these communities had. Obviously, what kind of skills and knowledge they would be having? They would be having knowledge of different seasons, and they would be having knowledge of different plants, and they used to have skills of hunting and gathering food. Do you have these skills and knowledge now? That is a question we need to ask ourselves. There are at least four reasons why hunters gatherers moved from place to place. This is very important thing. These points you can note it in your notes. First, if they had stayed at one place for long, they would have eaten up all the available plant and animal resources. Obviously, people at that time, if they would have stayed at one place, then the natural resources are not unlimited. Plant and animal resources are not unlimited, and they can go on to extinction if it is exploited in a huge base. Okay. And suppose if there are mango trees and they are eating the mango trees all the time, and then the season changed, then obviously they cannot stay at that place. And for example, there are a lot of deers where they have hunted. Obviously the deer population would go down, and it may be chance that at particular time there are no deers available for them to hunt. So for these reasons, they had to search some other place. The first thing was availability of plant and animal resources. You need to note down in your notes. The second thing is that animals move from place to place. So the second thing, mostly he was talking about the animals. So animals moved from one place to another place. Why? Because if they are suppose herbivores, then they would be eating different types of grasses. So you cannot hunt a herbivore directly, because chances are there that it may run away, or sometimes bulls and all, they will attack you. So you have to follow the patterns, like where these animals are actually roaming, and based on that you need to hunt. So an animal would not feed all the time at only one place. It will move from one place to another place. That is why you have to also follow their movements. So second one is that animal movement. What is the first one? It was the availability of plant and animal resources. Second one is about the animal movement. Okay. Third one, plants and trees bear fruit in different seasons. So third one, he is focusing on the plants, and he says that different seasons have different plant varieties bearing different types of fruits. So based on the season, they will travel from one place to another in search of their food. The fourth one is that people, plants, and animals need water to survive. Water is found in lakes and streams, while many rivers are and lakes are perennial. So here, this is an important thing. What is perennial? Perennial means which has water throughout the year. So if we see Himalayan rivers, suppose it is summer season, the sunlight will cause the snow to turn its state into water. Okay, so the snow melts and it turns into water. Hence, even during summer, the Himalayan rivers, they don't dry up. So they are perennial, means they'll be present throughout the year. But if you see peninsular rivers, that which are there in the interior part of India, those rivers are non-perennial, and they get evaporated during the summer season. So he is saying that while many rivers and lakes are perennial, perennial means which has water throughout the year, others are seasonal. People living on the banks would have gone in search of water during dry season. So I told you, during the if we see that those rivers which are present interior of India, they get dried up during the summer season. Okay. Besides, people may also have traveled to meet friends and relatives. Okay. So this is also one of the point, that they may have went for meeting their relatives. So let me give a small recap, that why did people travel? There are four reasons. The first thing is that the availability of plant and animal resources, as you can see. The second one is because of the herbivores movement, or we can say animal movement. The third one is because of different seasons, plants bore different types of fruits because of that. And fourth one, it was because of the water availability. Hope you guys understood till here. Let's go forward. Archaeologists have found some of the things, like hunters and gatherers made and used. It is likely that these peoples made and used tools of stone. Obviously, hunters and gatherers, they didn't know much about metals and all. So the first thing that it will come to their mind is stone. And the second one is wood, because it is also available. Third one is bone of animal. But mostly stones are so much strong, so they have survived the best. So here he is showing different types of stones. As you can see, he is saying that this A, these are the examples of the earliest stone tools. You can see A here. Why this is earliest stone tool? How can they say? Because it is not in a proper shape. Okay. Second one, these were made several thousand years later. Can you see? B, it is little bit in shape compared to this, or we can say that the size has been reduced. Third one, these were made still in later stage. See, one thing can you observe, that in all A, B, C, D, as the time passed, they were becoming more and more compact. They are becoming more and more smaller in size, as well as they are becoming more and more sharper in size. And E are natural pebbles. E is what you generally get in outside world, normal pebbles which are uh, as a result of the formation of the natural activities. Can you also relate this all these four things with your life? I'll give a small example. For example, if you see an SD card, when it was made, it was about this very big size. And can you just see the SD card right now? It is very small that it can be fitted in the small chip. Okay. So as the time passes, the things are becoming more compact and they are becoming small in size and easily useful. Some use these stones, use of these stones are given below. Make a list of these stones. Okay. Some of these stone tools were used to cut meat. So, what did they use these stone tools for? They used to cut meat, number one point, and bone also. Then they used to scrape out bark from the trees. You know, bark of the trees. They used to cut out the bark from the trees and hides. This is a little bit important. Hides are animal skin. I am trying to tell you the terminology also so that you can clearly understand. If you don't understand, you can just see the video again and you can read the book parallelly. They used to chop fruits and roots. Some may have been attached to handles of bone or wood to make spears and arrows. Now, what they did, they started doing. Now, they started fixing the stone to the bone or wood and they started to try to make spears and arrows for hunting. See, now they are little bit slowly evolving. Other tools were used to chop wood, which was used as firewood. Okay? So they used to chop wood and they used to make them as firewood. Wood was also used to make huts and tools. They started using the wood for making huts. Here he is saying that stone tools may also be have been used for digging the ground, and second one stitching the clothes made out of animal skin. Here in the first one they used to dig the ground for roots or for some other purpose, and here they used to stitch the animal skin. Okay. Next, here he is saying, look at map 2. All the places marked with red triangles are sites from the archaeologists have found evidence of hunters gatherers who lived in many places. This is the map 2. I hope you can see it, or else I'll zoom it a little bit. Here you can see them. Map 2 and marked with red triangles. Okay, so here you cannot see the red color, but I'll show you where are the triangles. You can see here Hansgi, it is in Karnataka. It is also called as Hunasagi right now. And this is another triangle. It is called Karnool Caves, and this Karnool Caves is present in Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So what does he want to say? He says that these are those locations where, yeah, one more important location is there here, Bhimbetka. It is known for its cave paintings. I have given an additional information for that. And very soon we will see what are cave paintings and how it is useful right now to decipher the people's interests or their thinking at that point of time. As stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stone was easily available. So now these people are having lots of stones. So they have tried to use it and made them into high compactable materials and warfare. They started using them to hunt. Second thing, they now they wanted to know that where good quality stones are present. So they used to travel from one place to another place, and then they used to see the stones where they are in abundant quantity, and then they used to make weapons or small, you can say, hunting tools. So places where stone was found and where people made tools are known as factory sites. So where these stones are found and people make to use to make tools, that is known as factory site. It's an important point. You note it down in your notes. Secondly, he is asking that how do we know that where factories were? Obviously, this is a common sense question. Suppose if you want to know, if you see a place and you have a doubt whether it is a factory or not, you should see for the scraps. or waste materials that is produced. That is what he is saying here. Here you can see chips of waste stone was left behind because these were the result of the cutting of stones, that these small waste chips was thrown out. Sometimes people lived here for longer spells of time. These sites are called habitation cum factory sites. So now what they did, where they found abundant resource of stone, they started residing there. So there, if they are residing, then it is called as habitation and come factory site. It is called habitation come factory sites. Suppose if they are not residing and they are just making tools, it is called as factory site. Only making tools, factory site. Residing there for long spells of time, habitation come factory site. Hope that is clear. Note this point also in your notes. Here, there is an interesting thing. I already told you, Bhimbedka is present in Madhya Pradesh. Some sites known as habitation sites are placed where people lived. These include caves and rock shelters, such as one shown here, where here in this. I'll show you. Okay, people chose these natural caves because they provided shelter from rain, heat, and wind. Obviously, the most important point here: why did these people live in the cave? Because these caves protected them from rain, heat, and wind. Natural caves and rock shelters are found in the Vindhyas and Deccan Plateau. These rock shelters are close to the Narmada Valley. So he is asking, can you think why people chose to live here? Obviously, why they will live here? First of all, they will provide protection. Secondly, it is close to Narmada Valley so that they can get access of water. Next, sites are places where remains of things, tools, pots, buildings, etc. were found. These were made, used, and left behind by the people. So he is saying that these are those sites where remains of these things are found, buildings, pots, etc., which were used by those people at that time. These may be found on the surface of the earth, buried under the earth, or sometimes even underwater. So, based on how the natural activities happened at that time, you can find it on them on the surface or buried under the earth or under the water. So, he says that in the forward chapters we can see. Here, making of the stone tools. So now we have talked about the factory. Next, we have talked about the habitation come factory. So next, we will see how these stone tools were made. Stone tools were probably made using two different techniques. Very important, you write it in your notes that how stone tools were made. Make a flow chart, number one and number two. So the first one is called stone on stone. That is very normal thing. You can just visualize that they are having one stone in one hand and with the another stone they are beating and they are making it into a, a small weapon. Here he's saying the pebble from which the tool was made, also called as core. So the pebble from which the tool was actually made, it is called the core and was held in one hand, and the another stone which was used as a hammer was held in other hand. The second stone was used to strike off flakes from the first one. I have already told you that whatever stone they are trying to make, so that is called as a core, and the second one they used to hit it like a hammer. Okay, this is the first one, and second one is called pressure flaking. This is important. Please write. It is called as pressure flaking. Here the core was placed on the firm surface. Now earlier they used to place it in the hand. Now they are putting it on a very firm surface. Firm means strong. The hammer stone was used on the piece of a bone or stone that was placed on the core to remove flakes that could be shaped into tools. So they used a piece of bone or stone that was placed on the core. So that they used to place on the core, and then they used to remove the flakes so that it could be shaped into tools. I hope you understood. First one, stone on stone. The second one, the core was placed on a firm surface, and then with the use of bone or another stone, they used to flake it. Okay. Next one, finding out about fire. So find the Karnool caves on map 2. Okay, I'll show you where the Karnool caves are. I hope you remember that Karnool is a place in Andhra Pradesh. See here, you can see Karnool caves. Can you see here? Karnool caves are present. So he is saying that in Karnool caves they have found something. Traces of ash have been found here. Why is Karnool important? Traces of ash have been found here. What is the meaning of this? That means they were using fire over there. That means people came to know how to use fire, and they either started to cook meat, or they used it as a light, or they used to scare away animals. Could be any of these. What do we use fire for today? Obviously, we use it for making food. And we also make use in metallurgical activities for making different types of metal. A changing environment. Now the environment is changing. Around 12,000 years ago, there were major climate shifts in the world. A very important thing, you can note it down, that around 12,000 years ago, the climate change was shifted, and it was relatively warm conditions was then established, and many areas led to the development of the grasslands. Very, 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 very important. 12,000 years, climate changed and grasslands developed. This is in turn led to an increase in number of deer, antelope, goat, sheep, cattle. All these herbivores started growing their number. Those who hunted these animals now followed them. Okay, I already told you that why did they move? That was second reason, that these herbivores were also moving, so they need to know about their movement of the herbivores. It is likely that this helped the people started thinking about herding and rearing. So he is saying that there is a possibility that because of this movement, they started to understand that we can herd and we can rear these cattle. That means we can domesticate them. We can put them along with our home. Okay, fishing also became an important. This was also a time when several grain bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. He is saying that as the conditions got changed, warmer conditions came, agriculture was also there, and here naturally wheat, barley, and rice started growing in different parts of the subcontinent. He says that men, women, and children probably collected these grains as food and learned where they grew and where they ripened. So now they got the knowledge that where these rice, barley, uh, and wheat started growing, and when they will get ripened and all. This may lead to them about growing plants on their own. So based on the movement of the herbivores, people started learning about how to domesticate them, and based on this, wheat, barley, rice seasons and ripening, they start also may have started growing plants on their own. Excuse me. Names and dates. So this is a very important thing, and this you have to remember thoroughly. Okay, archaeologist has given lengthy names for the time that we are studying. The earliest one is called as Paleolithic. Now, what is Paleo and what is Lithic? Paleo means old and Lithos means stone. So he is saying that this age is called as Paleolithic age. Paleolithic, Paleo means old, Lithos means stone. So it is also called as Old Stone Age. Very, very important. The name points to importance of finds of stone tools. The Paleolithic period extends from 2 million years ago to 12,000 years ago. From 2 million years to 12,000 years ago, this is called as the Paleolithic period. This period is further subdivided into lower, middle, and upper Paleolithic. This is very important. People will get confused here. Please note down in your notebook. The first one is called the lower, second one was middle, and third one was upper. That means lower was very old Stone Age, middle, and then upper Paleolithic. I hope you got that point. This long span of time covers 99% of human history. Can you just believe it? That our human history, 99% has gone in the Paleolithic age, and we don't know. And right, all these civilizations are just 1% of human history. Unbelievable. The period when we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called Mesolithic. 2 million years ago to 12,000 years ago, it is called Paleolithic, or also called as Old Stone Age. 12,000 years to 10,000 years ago is called Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age. Stone tools found during this period are generally tiny. Why these are tiny? Because early stone age, what people used, they were not compact, they were normally original. Later in Mesolithic period, they knew how to make them into small weapons and tools. So these stone tools found here are generally tiny and are called microliths. Very important, please note it in your notes that microliths are small, tiny stone tools. Microliths were probably stuck on handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saws and sickle. So they used to add them in making saws and sickle. At the same time, older varieties of tools also continued to be used. So he is saying that microliths were also parallelly used with the old tools. The next stage, about to 10,000 years ago, is known as Neolithic. 2 million years to 12,000 years ago is called as Old Stone Age or Paleolithic. 12,000 to 10,000 is called as Mesolithic, and after 10,000 it was called as Neolithic age. The next stage from about 10,000 years ago is called as Neolithic. He says that about Neolithic we'll see in the next chapter. He says we have mentioned the name of some places, you will find the names in the next chapter. Okay. There we have arrived. I have told you rock paintings at the time when we saw Bhimbedika. So here, rock paintings and what they tell us. Many of the caves in which the early people lived have paintings on the walls. They used to do the painting on the wall. This is a very important thing, not on the floor or anywhere, but on the wall. Some of the best examples are from Madhya Pradesh. Obviously, it is Bhimbedka and southern Uttar Pradesh. These paintings show wild animals drawn with great accuracy and skill. So he's saying a painting from the rock, describe the painting. Obviously, you can see a man chasing a deer. Who did what? We have seen that the earliest people hunted, gathered, plant produce, made stone tools, and painted on the cave walls. Is there any way of finding out whether women hunted or not? So he is asking whether what was the role of women during that time. Obviously, we cannot say because we don't have proper evidences. Here he is suggesting it may be that both men and women used to perform this hunting and all, but he says that we are not sure. He is saying that there are possibilities and there could be different practices in different parts of the subcontinent, so it is not the same. Ostriches in India. So ostriches were found in India during the Paleolithic period. He says that ostriches were present during the Old Stone Age. Large quantities of the ostrich eggshells were found at Patna in Maharashtra. Very important, you can write it down. That he may ask a question like ostrich eggshells were found at which place. It could be given options like Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, etc., etc. You can say that it's in Patna in Maharashtra. Designs were engraved on some pieces while beads were also made out of them. So they used to make designs. Okay. A closer look at Hanski. So find Hanski on map 2. I have already showed you Hanski. It is in Karnataka. Let me show you again. Here I'll zoom and I'll show you where Hanski is. Here Hanski. You can see here near the Krishna. Okay, why I am showing you map all the time? Because even if you write optional paper, the first question is about this one only. You can check it out in the previous questions. They'll always ask you map based questions, and even if you learn with map, you will clearly understand, and at a time when you look at the map, all the information will automatically come into your mind. Okay, so what is about Hunski? A number of early Paleolithic sites were found at Hunski. At some sites, a large number of tools were used for all sorts of activities were found. So he says that at Hunski, lot of different tools were found, and these were probably habitation come factory sites. So whenever Hunski is coming into your mind, it is a habitation come factory sites. Most of the percentage were probably habitation come factory sites. Okay. In some of the other smaller sites, there is an evidence to suggest that tools were made. So there are small evidences also. They can say that here tools were made in the other sites. Some of the sites were close to the springs. Most tools were made from limestone, which is locally available. This is very important, and you can mark it with 2 stars that The tools were made from limestones, because they will ask you like this is a place in Karnataka, they'll show you in the map and they will say from here the tools were made from the limestone. So based on this, you should guess that it is Hansky. Okay. Find France in your atlas. You can see, you can open your atlas and you can find France. It is in Europe. The painting below is from a cave in France. This site was discovered by 4 school children more than 100 years ago. This is not so much important, but yes, it is for additional information. You can see there are 2 big bison. For what they have drawn this image here, we do not know, but they say that maybe it could be some special ritual, or they were in search of prey. Okay, here we come to the end of the chapter. Their keywords are there. Let us see small amount of questions here. Hunters gatherers chose to live in caves and rock shelters because obviously they would be getting protection from wind, rain, and sunlight. I'll show you. The answer is here. The people used to choose the lake because they used to provide shelter from rain, heat, and wind. Okay. Coming to the next question. Grassland developed around dash years ago. So this answer is also available. I told you to note that it was around 12,000 years ago. I'll show this answer also. Here it is. 12,000 years ago, we have seen that the climate was becoming to get warm and people started traveling from one place to another place. Just a second. We can see here choosing a place to live. Yeah, here we can see that they have here changing environment. Around 12,000 years ago, there was a major changes in the climate of the world. Okay, so it was written clearly here. That is the answer for this question. Right? Why I am showing you the answer in the book itself, because whatever answer you want, it is there in your NCRT only, and NCRT is the basic foundation for any exam, be it UPSC or any exam. All the answers that you need are present in NCRT. Early people painted on the dash of the caves. I have shown you. I have also told that it is only the wall that they painted. In Hansgi, tools were made of. I told you, very important. In Hansgi, the tools were made up of which element? Limestone. Here, most tools were made from limestone. So this makes us come to the end of this chapter. And I also want to say that I'll continue this series because I have received a lot of requests. And let me tell you that I'm also thinking to start polity session of basic NCRT. So based on that, on your feedback, I would definitely think to start the other topics also. So thank you for watching this video, and please share your feedback in the comment section, and please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you.